Good evening. How are my friends this evening? Trish,
Krishna
Srihari.
and Trish.
Yeah. Can you hear me fine? The communications. Okay, good. Wonderful. Let's begin this class, this wonderful Bhagavad Gita. I'm so inspired to be here with you to share the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. Just keep meditating on how profound the Gita is and how much it can be applied in our life. So let's begin this evening, Trish and Angelica Srihari, with the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And I'm a little, okay, where's my Gita? We took about 1,000 books out of our library, and they're scattered all over this room because we just moved our computer. I mean our bookcase. So just hold on for 1 second. Now, why is the Gita in the bookcase where it should be? Okay, we're beginning with chapter 4. So you guys doing well? Everything good, Trish and Angelica? Everything good? You ready?
Yes, everything's great.
Okay, good. Good,
We're
good.
set.
We are starting now with the fourth chapter and the ninth verse. This is a very profound verse. This whole section of the Gita, the first, let me see, 10, 11. Yeah, these first 11 verses, I'm moving a little slowly because there's so much in these first 11 verses that really gives us um, a real insight into Gita and its profound wisdom. So we're now on 9, text 9 of the Gita, chapter 4. And as usual, we'll start with the Sanskrit to put us in the mood of Krishna's song, as is sung by the Supreme Krishna to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And the verse reads like this. And just let me make the adjustment here. Okay. And now back to, there we go. Okay. Oh. And sorry for the delay. I just want to get back to my notes. Because this verse has a lot of notes. Ah, there. Thank you. Okay. The verse reads as follows. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvataha tyaktva deham punar janma naitimam eti sorjuna. And the English translation reads as follows. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So in the previous verses, like why I'm saying this particular section of the fourth chapter is so profound, because in the previous verse, there's dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Krishna is telling Arjuna how he spoke this wisdom to Surya, the sun god, and Surya in turn hands it down to Manu, Manu to Ikshvaku, and these are great and powerful kings. And it's described that the kings are the intermediaries. In other words, they're the ones who receive this knowledge and are responsible for the transmission of this knowledge to the people in general. So you can see the difference between the culture of Gita and our current day culture. How many leaders do you know in the world? Maybe you can name one. I don't know. I don't know if I can name one offhand, but who are hold as one of their responsibilities um, the focus of transmitting spiritual knowledge to the citizens of their country. How many leaders can you think of in Europe or Asia or the United States or anywhere in North or South America and any other place? Maybe there may be some leader somewhere that is a bit spiritual, but according to Gita, in the beginning of the fourth chapter, Krishna says that this knowledge he gave, it was in the due course of time, it was lost. So he finds it his responsibility to keep this knowledge accessible for the welfare of humanity, and thus he transmits it in a way that the saintly kings, the word that's used specifically in this regard, is Rajarshi, which is a combination of two Sanskrit words, Raja and Rishi, which Raja means king, Rishi means saintly personality. So that is combined into the word Rajarshi, which means a saintly king, a king who has the responsibility, understands as part, and one of the major aspects of his responsibility is that the citizenry has access to spiritual knowledge, spiritual life. And they're also part of that responsibility of transmitting it is to create an environment within their country which is conducive, a conducive environment for people to learn about spirituality. And right now, I hate to say this, I've been following the news. It's quite depressing. I don't know why I put myself through that, but I've just been following the news, and I just see such divisiveness here in the United States and in the world. And, basically you have religions jockeying for the supremacy in their country. And, that will indicate that other religions, if this becomes a Christian nation, the United States becomes a Christian nation, then what's going to happen to Hinduism or Islam or Judaism or any of the other religions here? Because this country was founded on religious freedom. So it seems, according to the perspective of Bhagavad Gita, that our leaders should create an environment in this country, and our leaders in the world should create an environment where people can practice their religion in a very peaceful environment, a conducive state for thinking about God, meditating upon God, praying to God, worship God, encouraging each other of like-mindedness about God and service to God. That's what Krishna is indicating here. And then Arjuna comes up with the question, how is it possible, Krishna, you're here with me, and Surya, what you're stating, Surya, the names that you're mentioning, Surya and Manu, they existed thousands and thousands of years ago in different yugas. So how is it possible that you could do that? And Krishna answers that by saying, and this is one of the points that I'm going to make this evening, and I've made in the previous class. Krishna establishes in these verses that we've read and are going to read his position of divinity, supreme divinity, by telling Arjuna first, in answer to his question, in answer to Arjuna's question, how is it possible that you're doing that? Krishna responds by saying, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, and you cannot. So Krishna makes a distinction between himself and Arjuna. And that distinction means the distinction between God and the part and parcel of God, the soul, the living entity, that which you and I are. We have a body, female body, male body, white body, black body, etc. We have a body, but that body is not us, as we indicated by reading the second chapter, that we're not the body, that we're spirit soul. And these white bodies, black bodies, male bodies, female bodies are simply temporary places, stations that we are at in our journey of life. And in our journey of life, we are to understand the purpose of life, especially human form of life in particular, because the human form of life is endowed with the ability to understand and to ask questions, to reason and to ask questions as to why. So Arjuna is asking, why? How can it be possible that you've spoken this knowledge thousands and thousands of years ago? And Krishna says, because you are not the body. So you, Arjuna, you've been through many, many births. How many of them do you remember? I'm paraphrasing here. No, you don't remember any of them. Just like Trish, how many births do you remember you having?
None.
Angelica, how many births do you remember? How many past births do you remember?
I don't remember any.
Yeah. And Sri Hari, how many births do you remember?
I don't even remember the most recent one.
we don't even remember our childhood, some of the instances that occur in our childhood. And we could say that we're going through different stages of life, and we could say that we're actually have different phases, and we can't even clearly, I mean, certainly we can we can remember certain things that have transpired during the course of our life. I was having a conversation with one of my godbrothers, Balavanta, and we were reminiscing about the days when we were boys, younger men, let's put it that way, in high school, and how we played sports. So, I was telling him the sports that I played, and he was telling me the sports that he played. And I kind of got inspired by that. And I went searching for my high school yearbook. Now, can you imagine? This is an antique we're talking about. We're talking about a yearbook from the year 1968. That's when I graduated high school. And just to reminisce, let's put that way. And so I found the photos of me on the football team, me on the basketball team, and me on the baseball team. And I took photos of those. And then I sent them off to my friend, my godbrother, Balavanta. And he laughed and he said, "Oh, this is very cool, very cool." So, we can't remember our previous births. So Krishna is saying that many, many births, because the essential, we are spirit soul, we are our constitution is Satchit Ananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And so what does that mean? Well, certainly we can understand that our bodies are not eternal, that, eventually we will all uh, meet our demise, the ending, so to speak. So we can easily see that the body and the mind are not eternal. But what Krishna is saying is the essence, the source of consciousness, which is making this body conscious, aware of the different sense perceptions that are going on, and bringing them into the mind and putting them in our memory bank and cataloging them and memorizing them. All of that, the function that's going on right now, that is due to the mechanics of this body and mind. But this body and mind, as we know, and I think we all accept the fact that it will one day meet its end, its demise. So Krishna is saying, you, Arjuna, have gone through many, many births. And basically, he's asking the same question that I asked you guys. James, I asked, because we read a verse from the Gita where Krishna says, many, many births, both you, Arjuna, and me, Krishna, have passed. I can remember all of them, Krishna says, every single manifestation or avatar or incarnation that I've manifest in this universe. I can remember them all, but you can't. And I asked Trish and Angelica and Srihari, do you remember your previous birth?
Nope.
Right. We don't. So Krishna is saying that's the distinction between you and I. So he begins to outline the difference between Param Atma and Atma. Atma means the soul, the essence, as I said, the source of our awareness. We are all individuals. James, you're not aware of my awareness, are you? You're not conscious of what I'm conscious of, right? I'm not conscious of what you're conscious of. Same thing with Trish and Angelica and Srihari. We are all individuals and we have our individual consciousness and our conscious experiences, but we don't share that. I mean, if we have a relationship, if we're in a loving relationship, with our child or our spouse or whatever, we have some awareness through the mechanism of love of what might be on their mind. Let's put it this way: not exactly what's on their mind, but we might be aware of what our son or daughter, who's now in university or in high school or in middle school, what their priorities are, and we have some sense of it, but we're not there, every step of the way, understanding what's going on. So this is what Krishna is saying. Many, many births you've taken, Arjuna, you've taken Trish, you've taken Angelica, you've taken Srihari, you've taken James. Many, many births we have taken, but we can't remember them. But I can. So that this is one of the things that Krishna is establishing in these verses. There's a difference between who I am and who you all are. And that's the difference between what is Paramatma, the supreme soul, and what is the part and parcel of Paramatma, the tiny soul, the finite soul, the Atma. And even Krishna, and in the Upanishads, Krishna says that the soul is the type, is just a particle of energy. But so powerful is that spiritual energy that it's able to, motivate an entire body and create an entire life force. The analogy that's used is if you take the tip of a hair and if you were to cleave it, sever it, cut it, into 10,000 pieces, and one of those pieces would be the size of the soul. So to give us, maybe that's not exactly accurate, but Krishna wants to give us an understanding how finite the soul is. And as I mentioned last week, because of our finiteness, we don't have the capability to remember our different births. If we become really astute, if we become really, really attentive and aware of who we are, and we can understand by virtue of our inclinations, we can get a little bit of understanding of what we might have been or what we might have done in our previous life, because the inclinations that we have are due to previous samskars. So for instance, if a young, I was watching on YouTube the other day an 8-year-old girl playing classical violin. And I don't mean, just playing it. I mean, this girl was absolutely amazing. Can you imagine yourself at 8 years old, playing this amazing, incredibly complex classical piece at 8 years old? Do you remember when you were 8? I mean, but yet this girl has the inclination to be a musician. Obviously, she probably started at an early age, maybe 3 or 4. I know my son started violin, I believe he was around 5 or 6. So he started fairly young, and piano around 6 or 7. But by the time this girl's 8 years old, what's the difference? Because those inclinations are there from previous, the samskars are there. So as soon as you put yourself in contact with things that you've done in previous lives, you have a strong inclination. That's why some people have strong inclination to be musicians or artists. For instance, my wife at 9 years old, after a very, very major operation that almost cost her life, she came out of that operation and said, I'm going to be a doctor at 9 years old. And she even told me at 3 years old, she was playing doctor. So how does a 3-year-old have an inclination to be a doctor? And how does a 9-year-old have the inclination to make the commitment or be convinced that this is what I'm going to be? It's because of samskars that are there. So we can become aware and astute as to these inclinations and get a sense of what we might have done in our previous lives. But that's not going to give us, our identity. It'll only give us, things that we might have come in contact with. Even the fact that you all are sitting here listening to Bhagavad Gita, that is an indication of previous samskaras. It's called bhakti sukriti. What is separating you from your neighbor? Or maybe even your best friend who may not have any spiritual interest or inclination. What's separating you somehow or another, however your journey led you to where you are right now, somehow or another you came in contact with bhakti. You met somebody, you went to an event, somehow or another you were put into contact or connection with the process of bhakti yoga. That triggers a spark. It's like spark plug, right? As soon as you send electricity to it, it triggers a spark. What happens when the spark plug sparks? It's in the piston, and the piston has gasoline in the piston. And that spark will trigger combustion, and the combustion will press the cylinder down and come back up, and then again another spark. So this is what's going on when we are, you know, doing what we are doing. We may go to a yoga studio, or we may go to an outdoor event, or we may be in New York City, you know, out on the street, and we see somebody chanting Hare Krishna, playing mridanga, etc. There are so many different ways that um, can trigger or spark the inclination to pursue your spirituality. What to speak of specifically pursuing your spirituality through the process of bhakti yoga. It means bhakti sukriti. Su is good, krit or kriti means action. So you've performed some bhakti activity in your previous life. Knowingly or unknowingly, that's how powerful bhakti actually is. Knowingly or unknowingly, you've performed sukriti. That sukriti is recorded in your sanskars, your impressions. When you, again, in this life, you had the chance or the opportunity to meet someone or attend some event or whatever it may have been, which triggered, you know, the spark in your plug and your spark plug and caused the combustion of interest in bhakti yoga, then that is due to previous bhakti sukriti that you performed. And now look, you're perpetuating that samskara, that bhakti samskara, by hearing Bhagavad Gita every Tuesday, or going to a kirtan every Thursday, or Saturday or Sunday, as we have it within our congregation. And all of those events, what you're doing is you're making the bhakti sukriti, the bhakti samskara, deeper and deeper and deeper, and the inclination grows stronger and stronger and stronger. And as long as you keep up that kind of activity, you know, what to speak if you actually take up a vow that I'm going to do japa, I'm going to chant Krishna's names, or I'm going to do kirtan regularly. You perform or make a commitment to some kind of sadhana. Sadhana means doing something over a long period of time repeatedly. So bhakti yoga involves sadhana, doing something repeatedly. And all of the aspects of sadhana in bhakti, the chanting, the sadhu sangha, which means associating with learned people in the particular discipline of bhakti, studying sacred texts like Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, going to holy places. I sent, and I think I drew to your attention the retreat that's going on, put on by Gauravani and his mother Rukmini in India. So you go to holy places, and then you do different bhakti rituals. So all of these things done repeatedly makes the inclination stronger and stronger and stronger. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna, you can't remember, but you can create these samskaras, these deep impressions that will stay with you for the rest of your life. But Krishna is saying, but I remember all of my incarnations, all of my appearances. So we're getting Krishna establishing who he is and the worthiness of studying his words. Why are we studying the words of Krishna? Because this is coming from a very special source and a very profound and deep intelligence called Paramatma, or the Supreme Soul. So Krishna tells Arjuna that, and then he lays another one on him. He says, in 5, that's many, many births. Then in 6, he says, I'm unborn. I'm eternal. That's one thing. So is the soul. So is the Atma. So the Atma is also eternal. So how does that distinguish him from, like in the previous verse where he said, many, many births I can remember? So how does saying unborn? It's a different type of unbornness. If we tack it on to the previous verse, it's unborn eternality with full cognizance, no forgetfulness. So combine those 2 points and it's a whoa. Then he says, my transcendental body. And what Krishna is saying here is the body that I have when I manifest on this planet is a transcendental body. It is my eternal body. You all have an eternal personality, and you have a relationship with God in different ways, but we don't realize it. The sadhana, the bhakti sadhana that we perform will help us to realize it. So what Krishna is saying here, this body that has manifest, that you see on the picture or in the deity form, that body that I came to this earthly realm, this earthly sphere, that is my eternal body. There's no distinction between my body and the soul. It's not like us. I have this 75-year-old white male body, but my soul is eternal. So there's a distinction. I'm eventually going to shed this, like I'm going to take off this blue kurta at night. Eventually I'm going to shed this body, and the soul will be there. The Krishna doesn't shed his body. That is his existence. That is who he is. So he makes that determination. So many, many births, he can remember all. Full cognizance. Unborn, attach that to his full cognizance, his unbornness. His transcendental body never deteriorates. Then he makes a statement, I'm the Lord of all living entities. And if you want the peace formula, can I give you guys the peace formula? Would you like to know what the peace formula is that Prabhupada gave us? He made this lecture. He said it was entitled the peace formula. He said there's 3 things that if you understand, you will be in peace. Bhoktaram jagna tapasam. So bhoktaram jagna means sacrifice, means any sacrifice that you perform, if you perform it as an offering to the Supreme. That's one component of the peace formula. Second component, bhoktaram jagna tapasam, all sacrifices as an offering. It's your puja, it's your offering to the Supreme. Second, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Sarva Loka means all planets. They all belong to the Supreme. We may think that our plot of land, however big or small it is, you can have a plot of land that you own that could be, 50 by 100. And 50 feet by 100 feet, which is your kind of standard house size lot. And you could say, that's my property. Okay? What Krishna is saying here is, Sarva Loka Maheshwara, all property, everything, everywhere that exists is mine. I am the proprietor. So if you understand and accept that your sacrifice is your offering to the Supreme, if you understand that he is the Supreme Lord of all living entities and he possesses this is all his creation, everything, every planet, every particle, is his creation, therefore, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. If we can understand, if we can wrap our mind around that and accept with faith that point, that's point 2 in the peace formula. Point 3 in the peace formula is Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. Su, what did I say? Who? This is a quiz. Who can remember what Su means? Remember I said Su Kriti, and then I said Su means. Can anyone
Good.
remember? Huh?
Was it good?
Yeah, yes, right. Su means good. So Sukriti meant good action. Suridam, Sarva Bhutanam. So Su, good. Ridam is in your heart, close to your heart. It's another way of saying I'm your best friend. Of all living entities, I'm your best friend. So if we can understand those 3 things, Krishna, Bhoktaram Jagnatapasam, all of our sacrifices is our offering. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, everything is his property. So we can't get in anxiety that about this being mine. That's Ishwara Ham Bogi. That means thinking that we're the controller, we're the enjoyer. We're not. We are given. Everything is given to us as a gift. That statement, we come into this world naked and we leave this world naked, it can never be more true. We everything is given to us. And that's why the attitude of sacrifice is coming from gratitude. The attitude of gratitude in everything that we do as an offering to the Supreme. If it's done with gratitude, it's easy. It's easy to see. And it's easy to experience that. So when we experience that, we actually meditate on those 3 principles. And we really get deep into it, and we kind of accept that with faith. Yaj Gatva Shantim Richti. Then what comes to you is peace. So Prabhupada said, there's your peace formula. We see all kinds of proposals for peace, right? They're trying to propose a peace formula for Ukraine and Russia. They're trying to propose a peace formula for Gaza and Israel. They're trying to propose a peace formula for Nepal, and all the different trouble spots in the world and all this fighting and killing and groping and grasping for power, and then there's the attempt to come up with a peace formula. What's creating all of this discord amongst humanity is the simple fact we're not seeing these 3 principles and embracing these 3 principles. I mean, people say it. They may be quote unquote religious, and they may say that, oh yes, God is great, God is good, thank him for the food we ate, etc., etc. They may say that, but to embrace that in your life, and your mind becomes peaceful. Because greed, lust, anger, these are the gateways to hell that Krishna describes them in the Gita. And you can't have greed if there's no possessiveness, right? If we're not feeling possessive, but we're feeling grateful for what God has given us, that gratitude is satisfying far beyond the illusion that this is mine. Far beyond that illusion that this is mine. Where are you going to be at the time of death? Are you going to show Yamaraj, the Lord of Death, you're going to show him the mortgage to your house? This is mine. I can't let this go. No, it's not going to work. So to embrace those 3 principles is a big load off our mind, and we become peaceful. So I've shared with you the peace formula. Embrace that. Meditate upon that. So Krishna is giving us all of his qualities, his attributes, which is establishing why we should understand and study his these universal principles that can lead us on the path to supreme peace and understanding and happiness. He said, even though I have all of this, I still come every moment. Why do I come? Come again and again. I incarnate again and again to establish Dharma. Dharma is so important. We went over whole class in Dharma. I won't go there. There's a predominant rise of your religion. I have to reestablish it. I'll come. I won't abandon you. I'll never abandon you. So Krishna making another point about his supremacy. And then he says, Paritaranaya sadhanam vinashaya cha duskritam. And he gives three more reasons. You're my devotee, and I want to share with you love. So I'll come, I'll perform loving activities, I'll share my love with you so you can meditate on that love and that love exchange and that loving experience. And then there's disturbance in the world caused by demoniac mentality. I'll destroy that. I'll do that too when I come. And then again, Dharma is so important. He reiterates in the 8th verse, Dharma samstapanartaya. I come and I'll establish religious principles again. And 9, Janma karma chame divyam. Janma means birth. Karma means actions. So again, is he meaning his birth? Or is he meaning something else? Janma karma. So janma, let's read the whole verse again. Janma karma, birth, my actions, my birth, my actions, chame divyam, are transcendental. Divyam means transcendental. It means uncommon, non-material, spiritual, not approachable by logic, inconceivable. These are all the definitions and nuances of meaning of that word divyam. So in any way, Prabhupada translated it as transcendental, which means above, ascendant. So what Krishna is saying is, my appearance, we can use another word because oftentimes we're thinking birth means what we went through. And Krishna's not meaning that at all. It's not meaning the birth that we went through. That first off, our creation was due to seminal injection. That didn't happen with Krishna. So that's why his birth is uncommon, inconceivable. Krishna's appearance, when Krishna appeared into this world, it was done through meditation. His father and his mother, because they were pure, they meditated on the Supreme. And as a result of that powerful and pure meditation, Krishna appeared in the heart of his father, Vasudeva. Vasudeva and Devaki, the mother. Devaki's the mother, Vasudev's the father. And he appeared in the heart. And then in the continuation of that meditation, Krishna went from Vasudev's heart to Devaki's heart. There was a transmission via the meditation. Entered into the heart of Vasudeva. Vasudeva, in the continuation of his meditation, Krishna went into the heart of Devaki, and from the heart of Devaki into her womb. And then he came from there. So that is not ordinary. That is inconceivable, right? As indicated by the definition of divyam. So we can say divyam is kind of like the adjective for birth and karma, birth and actions. So even his action of birth, coming and coming out and manifesting into this world, that action is inconceivable. It's not your normal action. It's purely spiritual. It's a pure transmission of the Supreme Spirit, the Paramatma. It's the way he's entering into this world. He's creating a Leela. Does everyone know what Leela is? Who can tell me what Leela is? Does anyone know the definition of Leela? You might have heard this
It's a
word.
divine play
Yeah.
of, or a divine enactment of a form of Vishnu or any god.
Yeah. Well, Trish, is that what you were going to say?
Oh, yeah, I just said play.
Play. Okay. Play. Yeah. Leela means play, divine play. Can mean pastime, divine pastime of the Supreme. Basically, he does that, the play, to give us, the devotees, our meditation. There's a thing, a type of meditation in the Bhakti tradition called Lila Smaranam. And Lila Smaranam means a meditation on the play of Krishna or any incarnation of Vishnu. We meditate on their play, how Ram is such a favorite, right? The Ramayana. That's why people read the Ramayana, because they're actually able to think of Vishnu and his incarnation as Ram, how he came to this and how he played. What drama did Ram play? The whole drama of the Ramayana. What drama did Krishna play? The whole activity of this birth, right? This birth that Krishna, through meditation, entered Vasudev's heart, and then from Vasudev's heart to Devaki's heart, from Devaki's heart to Devaki's womb, and then he comes forth. And does he come forth covered in blood and placenta? No. When he comes forth in his beautiful eternal feature with bluish black curly hair and the Kastuba gem on his neck and dressed. That's what baby do you know comes fully dressed with jewels, earrings, and necklaces? The Kastuba gem, which is a very valuable gem, golden dhoti, flower garland. What baby comes out with a flower garland? So this divine Leela of the Supreme is just amazing, one step after the other. And then his parents see him and they're like awestruck because the beauty and the light and the whole environment becomes peaceful. The presence, when Krishna manifested, the whole environment becomes peaceful. The devotees feel peace in their heart. And that's the importance of sadhana. If we can create the environment within our heart through chanting God's names, through swadhyaya, studying of the sacred texts, through sadhu sangha, being in association with like-minded people and together chanting, like we do in kirtan, and hearing the Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita and meditating on what's being said, then this is all what gives us the opportunity to meditate. That's grace. That's mercy. That's bhakti. that we're given that opportunity. We're given ample opportunity to fix our mind on this kind of meditation, which creates the peace within the heart. That's when the realizations come. That's when the realizations unfold. When we meditate on Janma of the Supreme, which is not the Janma of an ordinary living entity. So just as Krishna said previously, many, many births I have taken, they've all been remarkable. Every time the Supreme Lord manifests himself, it's not an ordinary manifestation. They've all been remarkable. I could tell you the manifestation of the Supreme as Lord Nrsingadev or Lord Vamanadev, or I mean, all of those manifestations were absolutely amazing. What to speak of when Krishna appeared. So all of it, it's always divyam, inconceivable, glorious, transcendental, action, karma. So janma karma chame divyam. My actions, Krishna is saying, and my janma, my birth, are remarkable. And if you meditate on them, what's the next line? Yo evam yo veti tattvataha. And what does that mean? Yo veti tattvaha means one who knows me as the very form of Brahman. In other words, Brahman, the spiritual essence, energy, which is the source of everything, is the wellspring from where everything is created and manifest. That I am that Brahman in form. I am Brahman in form, in this divine transcendental body that never deteriorates. So, yo viti tattvataha, the truth or the reality is this is how I appear and this is who I am. So that's yet another aspect of Krishna's position, extraordinary position that he's outlining in these first verses here. And there's a lot of other statements all spread throughout the Bhagavatam and Upanishads and Puranas, etc., which reiterate this point, substantiate this point. If you're a lawyer, for instance, I don't think any of you are lawyers, but if you're a lawyer, you know that when you go to argue a case, you have to present precedent. So the precedent of the supremacy, the supreme coming into this world in an amazing way and performing amazing activities is there in the Ramayana, is there in the Mahabharata, is there in the Nrsinga Purana and all the Bhagavad Purana and all these, which gives us insight to this amazing divyam, this transcendental action and birth. So Krishna is saying, when you understand that and you embrace that and you're convinced on that principle, you come back to me. That's one of the ways that gives you access to your eternal spiritual position, free from this material world. So text 10, Krishna goes on. He says, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger. Those three things. Attachment, fear, and anger. Being freed from those things. Being fully absorbed in me. Just like in the previous verse. If you understand, if you meditate on my pastimes, one of my pastimes is how I manifest here. If you meditate on that, right, then that will help you to become fully absorbed. As I said, the principles of bhakti, how do you become absorbed? By chanting, by sadhusanga, by swadhyaya, study of sacred texts, by going to inspirational holy places, and by doing various bhakti rituals like deity worship. So being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me. Just like Draupadi. Draupadi was being accosted. She was being in the courtyard of the kings. She was being disrobed. And then she just realized there's nothing I can do against this powerful warrior who's disrobing me. And she just raised her hands rather, and yelled out, "Hey Govinda, hey Govinda." And because of her taking refuge in Krishna, he appeared. He manifested in the form of a sari, unlimited sari, and they could never disrobe her no matter how hard they tried. So many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me. That's what we're doing. That's why we're emphasizing studying of the Gita, because the Gita, the very sound vibration that's emanating from the Gita, this is the sound emanating from Krishna's lips. This is Bhagavad Gita, the song of God. Really, really try every time you approach the Gita, try to bring that to the forefront of your mind. This is the song of God. What does that mean? It means directly from his lips, this sound vibration came. So it's not a light thing when we go over these verses and we hear these verses. And what does it say here? Many, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me. So just us doing this together, reading the Gita together, meditating on what Krishna is saying together, it's purifying our hearts. And what is symptom of purification? Further interest. Further interest in pursuing our path, our connection, our linking up, our union with the Supreme. That's what happens. Our interest level, our desire, our conviction becomes stronger and stronger. And thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So Krishna says, this is not in vain. That this is the process by which you can attain transcendental love. In text 11, this is another one of my favorite verses. He says, Ye yata mang prapadyante tangstataiva bhajamyaham manu vartante manushya parta sarvashaha. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. So let's just think of that. Everyone in all respects is following the path. Well, how is that possible? Doesn't look like, for instance, how is an atheist following a path? How is a jnani yogi, one who's meditating on the impersonal Brahman, how is that following the path? So an atheist, an impersonalist, one who's just meditating on the amorphousness of Brahman energy, meditating on that, how's that following the same path as a bhakti yogi who's meditating on the form of Brahman, Param Brahman, the supreme form of that? How is that occurring? Because Krishna is saying, as they put forth, as you make an endeavor in one way or another, because there's a verse in the 15th chapter of the Gita, it's the 15th verse, Krishna says, I'm seated in everyone's heart. And from me, while he's in the heart, comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So this gives us an idea in the way Krishna reciprocates. You want to remember, he gives you remembrance. That's what reciprocation means. What are you putting out? then he responds accordingly. That's what he's saying in this verse. What are you putting out? Are you putting out a desire to know me? If you are, I'm going to reciprocate that. Think about a friend and how you became friends with that person, right? You met them somewhere, you enjoyed their company. Either you took the step or they took the step to, keep connection with you. And the more you remained connected, the closer that person became to you. That's just a relative way of looking at what Krishna is describing here. How you approach me, I'm going to reciprocate. And there's various ways that you can approach me, and I'll reciprocate accordingly. If you don't want to know me as a person, as a divine person, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, as a transcendental person, if you don't want to know me in that regard, then I'll give you the inability to understand that I can appear as a person. And why I'm saying that? Because if you study Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga, if you study the yoga of knowledge, there is an inability to see how the supreme, unlimited, omnipotent, omniscient God can have a form, because form is limiting, isn't it? That's the logic. But that's why Krishna uses the word divyam. Yeah, maybe your form is limited, but my form is divyam. My form is transcendental, inconceivable, unapproachable by logic. It's not the same as your form. Your form will diminish, dwindle, and disappear. My form doesn't do that. So if you don't want a personal relationship, then Krishna will give you the inability to understand that. If you don't want to even accept that there's God, then Krishna will cover you with ignorance. So no matter how logical it is, how many logical presentations you can hear about why God exists or how God exists, etc., you won't accept it because you don't want to accept it. And why don't you accept it? The previous verse, Krishna says, fear, anger, and attachment. These three things. What does he mean by that? By fear? Fear, he means when a person is informed that spiritual life involves developing a loving relationship with another person, albeit a supreme person. Now, if you have a traumatic life and your relationships, say you were in a bad marriage or you had some kind of your parents weren't very nice. You're the relationships that you've experienced in the course of your life were not really good, positive experiences. When someone hears that this yoga system of bhakti is connecting you in a loving, eternal relationship, that freaks you out. So you don't want to pursue it. Anger, when you hear over and over again, my way is the only way. You accept Jesus, or you accept Mohammed, or you accept Moses, or this path is the only path. If you don't follow this path, then you'll go to hell. You're damned. So when people hear that, an intelligent person will say, no, God can, if there is a God, he can manifest any way that he wants to. And all of these ways, as perceived by a Christian, as perceived by a Muslim, as perceived by a Jew, as perceived by Hindu. He can manifest in all those ways. And these are ways that he's reciprocating according to your desire. So fear, anger, and attachment. Bhogashvara prashaktanam toya paritachetasam. Krishna says when you have attachments, you can't see beyond those attachments, and thus you don't want to pursue spiritual life. I'm going to stop here. I went a little bit over. I apologize. If there are any questions or comments, I'd be glad to entertain anything that you may have in relationship to what is spoken or what was previously said, etc. Thank you. Thank you. Good. I could see your living form. So nice to see.
Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit more in the difference between the Atma and Prara Atma?
Paramatma. Param means supreme soul. Param Atma. Yeah. So what we were saying is that Krishna is giving all of the differences. If you read verse 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of the 4th chapter, right there, Krishna is delineating the differences between Atma. One of the main differences is Atma is finite, tiny, small. Paramatma is infinite.
Okay.
That's one thing to meditate. In our smallness, even though we have constitutionally, we're made up of the spiritual energy. Us as Atma are made up of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. We have that. I use the analogy of the ocean and a drop of ocean water, that the ocean has all these minerals and salts in it, but it's vast. Whereas the drop also has the salt and minerals in it, but it's tiny. It's a drop. So this is the distinction between Atma and Paramatma, finiteness and infinity. Krishna is saying, in my infiniteness, I never forget my appearance. In my infiniteness, my body, when I come to this world, that is my eternal spiritual form that you're seeing, Krishna. That's why anyone who saw Krishna when he appeared, even those that were on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, they saw Krishna and his eternal spiritual form. They achieved liberation. So powerful is the connection to that eternal form. So those verses are indicators of difference between the Atma and the Paramatma. So read those verses over again, and it'll give you really good insight. And that's a very good question. Thank you. Any other question that someone may have? I'd be happy to try to answer.
I don't really have any questions. I was going to meditate on what you're talking about the bhakti that we did in our past lives. When I started chanting, it was so familiar to me that I knew I had done it before.
Deja vu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel so connected. One person that I know, we've been teaching them a little bhakti, just told me, she said, the response I get, there are many mantras out there, but she said the response that I'm getting from the Hare Krishna mantra is like no other response. And I wrote back to her, I said, it's because you probably chanted before. And it seems so familiar to you. It's so recognizable and so attractive because you probably did it before. And due to your bhakti sukriti, you're given another opportunity to chant that mantra. And when you heard that mantra, you're getting this response. you're getting the response of, wow, this mantra is really moving me like no other mantra. So that means, there was some connection before. Yeah. So that's why the familiarity is there. I was meditating on two different mantras. I think I told you the story of how I started with TM, Transcendental Meditation, in 1969. So I was meditating on that mantra that they gave me. And then I came in contact with Prabhupada's books, and he kept, saying in so many ways, chant Hare Krishna. So I started chanting Hare Krishna. And after a short period of time, I was chanting Hare Krishna more and chanting the TM mantra less, because what I was feeling with the Hare Krishna mantra was so recognizable, so familiar, so much a part of me, and B, what I was experiencing from that chanting, that involvement in meditation on that Hare Krishna mantra. So that's Bhakti Sukriti. Somewhere along the line, knowingly or unknowingly, we had some connection, and it's being revived now due to what we're doing and how we're doing it. When you make the conscious effort to do it, like coming to this class, like if you chant japa, I know Sri Hari chants japa, Gokula Priya chants japa, I chant japa, I think Sri John chants japa. But when you make the conscious effort, that means you're not just making a little step forward, you're making a huge step forward towards this connection, trying to establish this connection. So, yeah, consider it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your questions, both Angelica and Trish. Thank you. So, I told you I'll be in contact. I'm leaving on Thursday. Hooray! And I'll be going to India. I'll arrive in India on the 19th. I'll leave on Thursday, the 18th, arrive on the morning of the 19th, I believe. And I'll be there until October. My wife reminded me I'll be in the States on the 13th. I'll be leaving India on October 12th. As far as the classes go, I'm going to see, once I get situated in India, if I have a conducive environment to continue with the classes. It'll be early for me, but I don't mind that. But it's just a matter of the room that I'm in, the connection that I have, the internet connection. I don't know. Those are unknowing. I don't know what it'll be like. If everything is good, if the room is quiet and I have good connections, then I will. I will let you guys know that our classes will continue. Is that your son?
That is my son.
How old is he?
18.
18. Okay. Not a boy anymore, Mom.
No, he's not.
So, yeah, so I'll let you know. So just keep aware. Sri Hari is my intermediary. He sends out messages. I usually send out messages to you guys, and we'll keep in contact. Okay. So till we see each other again, you have a
Have a safe
happy.
trip.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a Hare Krishna. Have a happy, healthy, and holy week. Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Yeah, Sri Hari is going to be with me in India, so we're going to have a good time.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Okay, everybody. Good night.
Good night.